So have you ever found yourself in a situation to where you're in a moment of deep sadness and you keep lamenting over and over and over again, but it's only your tears that basically help you to express how you're feeling in that exact moment? So when I think about tears and I think about the world today, we often think of tears as a sign of weakness. We think of tears as a sign of showing us that we're soft. You get it so much around the world to where sometimes even men, they grow up and it's planted in them at such a young age to hold in your tears. You're not really a man if you're out here crying, but we have to understand that Jesus wept. So are we saying that Jesus was soft? So in our actuality, is it wrong to be soft? Is it wrong to be labeled soft? Is it wrong to be labeled that we are able to be bent and folded in many different ways so that God can shape us into exactly who He has ordained us to be? I wanted to talk with you guys about how weeping, especially when it's directed towards God, can open up the door to a comfort that surpasses anything that the world has ever had to offer. One of the first things that we learn about God in the Bible is that He sees us, He knows us, and He cares about our pain. In Psalms 56:8, David says, "You have kept count of my tossings, put my tears in your bottle. Are they not in your book?" Imagine that God values our tears so much that He collects them, that He records them, and they aren't lost of meaning, but they're precious to Him. This tells us that our tears are seen, they're known, and they're cherished by one who loves us the most. He's keeping them in a bottle. He treasures them. He's storing them up, and He records them. Weeping in moments of pain can be one of the most honest expressions of our need for healing. The Bible often speaks of God's nearness to those who weep. In Psalms 34:18, we're promised that the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. When we find ourselves weeping before God, we need to know that we are not alone, that He is right there, ready to offer His comfort. So why not embrace the fact that others are calling us soft, others are calling us malleable, others are calling us flexible and easily shaped by the hands of our God. A tear shed before God is a prayer in liquid form. Someone once said it's a reminder that our weeping itself can be an act of prayer when we don't have the words to express our pain. God understands the language of our tears. He understands the language of you cried all night. He understands the fact that you are enduring some of the most hardest things in your life. He is present. He is listening. He is drawing near in those moments of vulnerability. One of the most shortest and most powerful verses in the Bible found in John 11:35. It says, Jesus wept. In this moment, Jesus stood at the tomb of His friend Lazarus, surrounded by people grieving deeply, and He allowed Himself to feel their pain. He felt it fully. Jesus, who knew He was about to be raised, and He was about to go ahead and raise Lazarus from the dead, He still took the time to weep. This shows us that God is not indifferent to our pain. Jesus wept with those who mourn. He demonstrated His compassion that even though He knew the ending result of what was about to happen, He had the empathy. He showed us that He was able to empathize with our feelings. And in every tear we shed, I need you to know that Jesus stands beside us, that weeping with us, He's weeping with us. He's holding our hearts. He's holding our hand. This should remind us that when we cry and when we have sorrow, He is not far off. He doesn't stand back and watch. He comes close to us. He feels our pain. He shares in it. Do you understand that this comfort that only God can offer is a comfort that doesn't deny our pain, but meets us in the middle of it? So when we allow ourselves to weep, we bring our full selves to God. We're embracing the power of surrender. And sometimes the act of crying out in the pain is the first step that he wants us to take in letting go of what we cannot control. And it's entrusting God to hold us through it all. A heart that surrenders in tears is a heart that finds strength in God. And I need you to know that even in Corinthians, 2 Corinthians 1:3-4, Paul calls God the Father of compassion and the God of all comfort, who comforts us in all of our troubles, so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves receive from God. This passage reminds us that as God comforts us, we're also equipped to comfort others. So our tears, our pain, our experiences that we are going through, God's comforts are all a part of the journey that not only heals us, it's going to empower us. It's going to help us to help others that are going through those same exact situations. And in every tear, we'll find that God's presence is there. His comfort doesn't always come in the form of immediate answers or solutions. And sometimes it's the simplest thing, that peace that comes from him, from knowing that he is with us every step of the way. The comfort of God is not the removal of our tears, but in his promise to be present through them all. So as we walk through the pain and we experience the power of God's comfort, let's remember that our tears are precious to him. Take the time out to get it out. Stop holding it in. Stop thinking that we are soft, that we are ran by the labels of this world. Since when should we stop our faith because of the labels of this world? We have to go ahead and sow those tears so that we can reap the joy that is there for us, that God has for us. Because it's a pathway to healing. It's a means to finding strength. It's a reminder that we are never alone. God is with us every step of the way, especially in the moments of our deepest sorrow. So don't be afraid to come to God in weeping. Don't hold back those tears when you feel that life is overwhelming you, because he sees you. He treasures you. He wants to come near unto you. What if the enemy is telling you to mask your pain, to mask your tears, to mask your lamenting, and you're covering it up with so many different things that this world has to offer, just so that God won't come near unto you? He said he is close to the brokenhearted, so he wants to be close to you, but you're holding back the vulnerability that he needs so that he can meet you in the middle of it. He is waiting to meet you there. He is waiting to comfort you. He is waiting to give you your peace that surpasses all understanding. He wants to be your strength when you feel that you are weak, but you can't get it until you start weeping. So I'm praying for you, and I wish you the best, and I hope that you have enjoyed this message. Please like and subscribe.